Welcome to episode 11 of Adventuring for Mere Mortals. This week, we're joined by photographer Tommy Corey, or as he's known in the long distance hiking community, Twerk.
So I've been following Tommy on Instagram for a while. His photography's great. So as I said, he's a great photographer. He's done multiple different projects, long distance hiker as well. And people in the long distance community might know him as Twerk. And yeah, he's just a really cool human being. So Tommy, tell us a little about yourself.
Where do I start? Where start from birth or
wherever you want.
I grew up in Northern California, in Redding, California, and I live currently in Bend, Oregon. Just moved back there from Denver a couple of months ago. I'm an outdoor photographer, long distance hiker. And my love of the outdoors kind of comes from my childhood. I grew up near Mount Shasta, the Trinity Alps, and spent a lot of time outside with my dad and my two brothers. And so I've always had that affinity for nature. And then that was kind of really exacerbated after I thru-hiked the PCT in 2018, is kind of how I fell into my career as an outdoor photographer. And I'm an outdoor photographer, but I'm focused heavily on humans of the outdoors. So not just portraits of them, but adding narrative to more kind of underrepresented stories of people who, like LGBTQ, people of color, disabled, kind of showing the diversity of people in the outdoors. So that's my career, and that's who I am.
And that's amazing. And that's when I saw your new project, which we'll talk about in depth in a bit. I was like, yep, we got to try to get Twerk on. And luckily,
yeah, I was excited.
Yeah, absolutely.
When Trevor shared with this, I was really excited to have you on the show.
Okay, well, I hope I don't disappoint you guys.
Oh, that's impossible. Kyle and I don't talk as much as we should. So let's do a little bit of a catch up. What have you been up to, Kyle?
Well, I went home to Southern Illinois, did a little vacation, visited with family, and other than that, not much to report out here. What about you, Trev?
So I did the opposite. So I've been fairly busy in the outdoors for once. So I also went back home to Southern Illinois to see my parents and grandparents, and just very quickly saw all of them. But while I was there, since the Mississippi River is so low because of the drought that's happening in the Midwest, we were actually able to walk out to Tower Rock. So it's this little island that's normally out in the middle of the Mississippi River, but the river's so low. This happens every decade or so. You can actually walk out to it. So it was just crawling with people, but that was cool. Walked out to Tower Rock, climbed up on Tower Rock, got some cool pictures. But after that, I was making my way to Kentucky to do some gravel riding with my bike. So on the way there, I did a short gravel ride in Tunnel Hill State Trail in Southern Illinois, which was nice. And then got over to Kentucky and did a nice long gravel ride on the Dawkins Line Rail Trail in Eastern Kentucky. And I was going to see our buddy Alex, but him and his wife both got strep. So I just decided to steer clear of them and let them wallow in their sickness and not bring that home to my kids. But on my way home, I also hit 3 national park sites because I'm really big into doing those. I hit Lincoln Birthplace National Historic Place, Lincoln Boyhood National Memorial, and George Rogers Clark National Historic Park.
You hadn't been to those before?
No, I hadn't. I'd driven by them on the interstate. Yeah, they're nice. They're nice. Like, okay, I'm here for like an hour. Okay, I've seen it all. Move on. But tell me, what have you been up to, man?
Let's see. I've been on the road for almost 3 weeks shooting my new project. Today, I just photographed the 13th person out of 100 I'm photographing. Wow. So I'm here in Phoenix, Arizona. Lovely. I love the Southwest. I was in New Mexico before that, shooting some people, and then I was in Salt Lake City, Utah for 11 days, kicking off the project. And then, before that, I was chilling at home for a few weeks, and then before that, I was in Big Bear, early September, or what was that? October, September? Can't remember. I was in Big Bear photo shooting filming a backpacking event. That's kind of in the
cool.
last like couple of months. Yeah.
But I'm sure you're going to be traveling for, if you're on 13 of 100, probably for at least through the winter into the spring, probably.
Yeah. I'm gonna. I from here I go to San Diego on Friday, and then I'll be there for the weekend. And then I'm gonna photograph a couple of people in Los Angeles, and then one person in San Luis Obispo, and then head home, and then I'll be home for like a day or two, and then head back down to California for Thanksgiving to see my family, because I never go home for the holidays. And my little brother and his wife just found out they're pregnant, so I was like, I'll come home and like celebrate with you, but you're not getting Christmas. Yeah, it's like, and it's like not a big holiday guy. It's not.
Yeah.
I usually like to go on trips by myself somewhere and do something else.
I'm a big fan of the solo trips too.
Yeah,
I do them quite a bit. But all right, well, yeah, let's get into our main topic. So, as I said previously, Tommy is a great photographer. So, I guess a good place to start with, how did you get into photography? Did you have like a parent that had a camera that just like, hey, you picked up your dad or your mom's camera when you were a kid, or how did it start?
Yes, but only because I was 12 years old, and I had a friend, my childhood friend Alex. Her older brother, Chris, was a photographer, or like took photos as his, or he took photos. And then when I got into high school is what really like kind of set off like, oh, I want to do this. Because he for his senior portraits, or sorry, for his senior project, he was doing portraits of other like his classmates, and this is also like 2002, so I had digital cameras were like coming around, but they were like real shitty, and he was doing everything all film, and so I told my dad, I was like, oh, I really want to like get into photography. He's like, well, I have this old Olympus I had from when I was a kid, so I'll give it to you. And if you like are committed to it, then we'll buy you a nicer like 35 millimeter camera for Christmas. So I picked up that, and I just didn't stop. And then they bought me a Canon 35 millimeter film camera for Christmas, which was like at the time like, oh, this is so nice. So I love telling this story because it's really it's like a lot deeper than just like, oh, Chris was a good photographer and inspired me. What inspired me really to be not just a photographer, but a portrait photographer was he was a senior when I was a freshman. We had the same choir class, and there was this girl that he had taken photos of, and like being an adult now, I look back and like she definitely came from like probably like a bad home life. She just always had like kind of hand-me-down clothes, and like her hair was dirty, and kids were like so mean to her, I remember. Anyway, he had taken her senior portraits for his senior project, and brought the book of all the prints in one day to show her in class. And this is like in the morning, choir class, 100 kids all up on the bleachers, on the rafters, whatever they're called. And she's flipping through the photos he had taken of her, and she starts crying. And so she like throws her head into his shoulder, and she's like, "Thank you, Chris. Thank you so much." And she's crying, and everyone's kind of like looking around, like what's going, like no one really understood. But that moment like drastically changed my life. Like I actually don't even know if I'd be a portrait photographer if I hadn't witnessed that, because I remember I was a kid, I was like 13 years old, and witnessing that and seeing how that affected her, and just that she was able to see herself through someone else's eyes was like, I grasped that as a teenager. And that's what made me, like, I'd already been taking photos because I was like, oh, I want to be like Chris, he's so cool. But that's what made me want to be a portrait photographer. I was like, I want to take photos of people, and I want to make them feel exactly like Chris made that girl feel. So that's kind of like my like long-winded story of how I got into photography, nice. But like that's why amazing. I do the things I do. Yeah.
No, that's really beautiful. So my wife, I'll say up front, my wife is the photographer in the family. She has like her nice Nikon. I take pictures on my phone, but
Trev, give yourself credit. You rocked it in was it Pink Sand Dunes with the Instagrammers, and
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
So yeah, apparently
yeah,
I'm at least a passable photographer. They said the pictures were fine. They could have just walked away and said, okay, these were garbage, but
yeah,
I
yeah.
did my best. But yeah, so my wife would be annoyed with me if I didn't ask, what's your favorite camera? Or do you have a favorite camera, your go-to, or is that like picking a favorite child? Is that
No,
hard?
it's like, um, I think when it comes to brand, I am like Canon all the way. I love Canon, but it's probably because that's what I learned on. Like, I mean, I learned no, I mean, I learned on an Olympus, like
Mhm.
old Olympus OM1. But that camera I got for Christmas when I was 13 was a Canon. And so naturally, when I switched to digital, I bought a Canon, and that's all I shoot now. And I shoot like with mirrorless. I shoot on a Fuji, and I want to eventually get a Sony. And I just actually bought like a Nikon, like 35 millimeter.
Nice.
But so I have all types of different cameras though. Like I love medium format. I have a Yashica. I have a Hasselblad. It just kind of like I think it just depends on like my mood and like also like the mood I want for the photos. Which is it's also funny like you would think like shooting with a different camera would give you like a different whole like different mood, but like at the end of the day, it's just like you are who you are as an artist. And I always thought, oh, if I buy a better camera, I'll be a better photographer. I'll do something
Yep.
different. And it's like, no, at the end of the day, I'm just going to be exactly who I am. I can't emulate anyone else but me. And so
Okay.
it's hard to choose. But like when it comes to brand Canon, I love Canon.
Okay. That's good. So yeah, I guess what you're saying is like technology can help you some, but if you can't
Yeah,
frame the shot, if you can't get the idea across, it's not going to help you that much, right?
yeah. If you don't know what you're doing, it doesn't matter what you have. Like you're fucked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like it.
So that's a nice segue into your current project, which my understanding is you're going out and photographing individuals in their element in the outdoors
Mhm.
in hopes that um, you're gonna create something that anyone can open and find someone that they can relate to. And
Yes.
so um one, can you share a little bit more about the project? And two, um I found this extremely fascinating because of the storytelling component. I'm thinking about it from the sense of like what we're trying to do here, and that's encouraging people to get outside regardless of their background, race, gender, anything. Just get out, enjoy it, and how that kind of fits into your project, if it does.
Yeah. Okay. So what's the question though? I'm just elaborating.
Yeah, so
Sorry.
so is this yeah. um so I guess the first part is just, tell us a little bit more about your project. You know,
Okay. Okay. Yeah. So
we'll
I'm
start there.
only no. I'm only like laughing because that's exact. Like I interview these people, and it's exactly what I do. Where I just like I have so many thoughts about it that I'm like, here's everything, and then I'm like, oh wait, let's tone it down. So I
Yeah.
I
No.
I love this podcast already. I'm totally vibing with you guys. We're on the same page. This is wonderful. I love this. This is so chill. Yeah. So I'll start with what the project is, and it's called All Humans Outside, and it's a photography book. It's going to be a book full of portraits that I have taken of 100 individuals from all different sectors of outdoor sports, recreation, conservation, sustainability, professions. Um, Basically, just showing not just the diversity in humans that love Mother Nature, but showing the really the diversity in the ways people connect to Mother Nature, the ways they protect nature, the ways they have found belonging in their identities through the things they do outside, the ways they are building community for others through their experiences and life in the outdoors. It's really just to show. uh, Yes, I want anyone to be able to pick up the book and look through it and see themselves represented. But I also want them to like I want the outdoors to like not feel intimidating. Like
Mhm.
I think this is like maybe sounds crazy, like weird coming from someone who's done a through hike because people look at through hiking like that's wild, and like me, I'm a lazy piece of shit in real life. So like I like that part of my life, which was 4 years ago, like feels like a dream. I'm like I can't believe I was capable of that. But like I still look at through hikers and like people that do these like extreme things outdoors, and still am like in awe of them, even though I'm one of those people that have done that. But like I think it's because I grew up and I always just felt like an underdog. Like I grew up in a small town. I was very effeminate. I came out at 16 years old. I got made fun of a lot, and like not just made fun of, but like kids were really fucking mean to me. Like I mean, just from kindergarten to the end of high school, just I always never felt like I fit in or I belonged. Like I was ostracized by my peers. I just, I felt worthless. Like I started having suicidal thoughts when I was 9 years old, like a 9-year-old kid. Like that breaks my heart now as an adult. And this book is such a reflection of me and who I am and like what I've experienced in my life, and trying to just make sure that like people don't have to feel like that, especially in the outdoors. It's like we all come from nature, we all belong outside. So like you shouldn't feel ostracized in like the one place that should make you just feel alive and like just what we are is just like a human that comes from Mother Nature. So I was long-winded answer,
Oh, no,
but that's
Keep going.
This project is like is so important to me. Like I mean, I spent 4 months interviewing almost 200 people to like narrow it down to 100, and then like also telling people like, sorry, like I'm going to this other person, it's like terrible.
Oh.
There's a lot of factors there though, and everyone is understanding, but I was like, God, I should have just said yes to like each person in order, but I don't know. There's
It's your story. You're telling it, right?
Yeah. But
and after the success of the first volume, you can go with the second volume.
Yeah.
I'm already thinking about it, honestly, while I'm like shooting it, because I'm just like, well, fuck, I met like 200 really fucking cool people, so I got 100 on standby now. Yeah.
It's a fascinating project. I can't wait to see the end result. Can you share any of the stories that you're trying to like highlight?
Like
we have a little teaser.
Yeah, I guess teaser would be a good way to put it.
Of course. Yeah. It's just, oh man, it's like so hard to look, like, where do I even start? Because literally, like everyone, kind of a common question has been, how do you choose your subjects? Like, is it because the most interesting story is? And I was like, no, honestly, a lot of it has just been the connection in the Zoom interview. If I felt like, even if someone had the craziest story and I didn't feel like we really connected, I'm like, probably not going to come spend time with you and take photos of you. Cause like, I also want to know that when you hang out with me, that you're having fun and that you trust me. And I also want to know that like, I'm 35. I know how to set boundaries. I want to make sure I'm having fun with you too. I just want this to be there's comfortability with people. So it's hard to like say like which story is like the best or like who's the coolest, because like I just feel so connected to these people already. But so I'll say some of the ones that like stand out that are just kind of wild are, there's this gal Channing who's paraplegic. She's paralyzed from the waist down. She grew up in Laos, and at 3 years old, she, on their family's farm, got attacked by a bull, and that's how she's paralyzed. And she's, in her like early 40s now, but she's a Paralympian. She was a rower, and just like that, and that was like just a really cool story. That the first 2 people I shot for this project was this woman Melody and her daughter Ruby. Ruby has Down syndrome. She's 7 years old. I had an uncle with Down syndrome, so I when I was making this book, I was like, I want someone with Down syndrome in this book. That's really important to me. And I mean, her story is so cool because when they got diagnosed, or when she was still pregnant with Ruby when they found out she had Down syndrome, and so when they got that diagnosis, they did this trip to the national park with her and her older daughter and 2 boys. They're like, oh, this will be our last hurrah, because having a kid with Down syndrome probably won't be able to do much. So they went to a national park, and their first morning saw a family with a kid in a wheelchair. And she was like, oh, they have a disabled child, and they're still getting out here. And that literally was the moment that like put in her mind that like, well, shit, when we have Ruby, let's take her outside. Let's go do these things with her. Like, just because she's disabled doesn't mean. And so like, and that's not a crazy story, but it's one that's like important to hear, you know.
Yeah.
So there's just like, you know, just all types. It's with 100 people. There's just like a lot of shit going on. Um, but they're all, and even the ones that aren't like crazy or like you wouldn't like think to like put in a book or whatever. It's the way that people tell these stories and the way they have like used their experiences in their life to really like connect to Mother Nature or the thing they're doing outside is like what fascinates me about all these people.
That's amazing. Because yeah, like the outdoors means something different to every person, right? And I think that's
Hmm.
what you're
Exactly.
trying to get after.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Like Kyle said, I'm really excited to see the end product as well. But
Me too. It's going to be a lot of work.
I'm sitting here thinking, I don't. So you have 100 subjects. I don't even know how you begin to like organize that into that. That seems like an overwhelming, daunting task.
It was in the beginning, like because so I was on the CDT this year. I did like 850 miles, and while I was hiking, I probably my first week on trail, I was like, God, like I really want to make a book, like not hiker trash vogue. I was like, I want to do something really inclusive. And being on a through hike, I was like, I can't do anything inclusive out here. It's like it's very straight, it's very white,
Mm.
which is fine because like I make friends with all these people and I love the through hiking community, but it needs some work for sure.
Yeah.
And so while I'm out there though, I get this idea for this book, and then once I start thinking about it, I can't stop thinking about it. So I'm hiking and I'm having fun, but I'm like, I don't really want to be here anymore. Really want to like, I have this gut feeling that I don't care about through hiking anymore. Not that I don't care about it, but like, I just don't want to be here right now because I feel this calling to do this thing. And so, I mean, that's a big reason why I left the CDT was because I like had this calling. So I got off trail, and to get to your question, sorry, I just put so much detail.
No.
Um, and like, let me go back to when I was 2 and then like give you the whole story. But when I got off, I was like, "Oh shit! I actually have to do this because I quit my through hike. How am I going to come up with 100 people?" But like for some reason, like 50 just didn't sound cool. Like it just like 50
100
is just
does sound amazing.
like
It
you
sounds
you
great.
know like 50 humans in the outdoor. Like that sounds so stupid. So I was like 100 sounds like I am taking on something big, and I
Yeah.
want like I always think big. For such a small person, I think very big. And I'm literally 5'3", you guys. And so I it was daunting though. I was like, fuck, how am I gonna come up with 100 people? So I started reaching out on my Instagram. I just said, hey, I have this idea for a book. You know, everyone, like, if you know someone cool in the outdoors, and you know, obviously disabled, people of color, plus size people, you know, those people to the front, like, and started getting some good suggestions. I just started doing interviews with people, and then literally slowly by like making my list of people, and then like keeping tabs of like, okay, like let's not make sure we don't have too many through hikers because that's obviously going to be
Yeah.
very biased. But making sure, you know, I had a wide array of people, but then like just the kind of people I wouldn't even think of came out of the woodworks because of not just social media, but just by talking about it, that was awesome. And so like once I started getting going, then I was like, oh man, I'm gonna like have too many people. And then that's how I ended up interviewing almost 200 people. And they're like, shit, now I got to sit down and like think about how I'm going to like structure this. So it was daunting in the beginning, for sure. But I think like anything, like once you get rolling, then you're like, you like get inspiration as you go. And then it just becomes easy. You know, it's just like, okay, I know I have like 7 interviews today. So I'm just going to sit down with my coffee and just like do it. Yeah.
No. It's awesome to see like how it just like lit this fire in you and you were off. You were just going. And
Yeah,
that's
yeah. And, but and I'm like that because I feel like I did hiker trash vogue, and that was such a big part of my life, and it changed my life. It changed my career. I mean, it changed the structure of how I photographed people. Even like, you know, it's changed so much about me and my work. Um, but like doing something as big as that and getting so much attention for it, then for the next few years, I'm like, fuck, like what do I create now? Like, how do I top that? What do I do different? Like, how am I gonna do that? And so like when I got the idea for this, that's why I couldn't stop thinking about it, because I was like, oh, this feels more than Hiker Trash Vogue. This feels like me. This is like everything I love about the outdoors, photography, what I love about other people. Like this, like I think this work is gonna be, whether like the book like sells or not, like I don't even care about that. Like I care about like how it makes me feel, how it makes these people feel. So like to like get the inspiration to do something like, oh my god, this is like going to be my life's work, like that's why I like had to like quit the CDT and like get off and like follow this gut feeling that I had.
No, that's great. And hearing you talk about it and your just excitement for it, I already know it's going to make a lot of people very happy. They're going to see it and they're like, it's just going to resound with people. Like it's just that type of thing. Like I just have a good feeling, really good feeling about it for sure.
I hope so. It's people have, I already can tell, have been very connected with it through social media. So I have a good feeling about it.
So now that we're all pumped and excited about it, roughly, do you know when it will be released? Maybe. I know there's a lot of moving
Yeah.
parts, but
Well, no. I mean, that's the nice thing about a publisher is they kind of get you grind your
deadlines
gears a little bit. Yeah. They're like, bitch, we need to make money. They did not say that. I've said that.
they say the corporate version of that, I'm sure.
If my editor said that to me, I would love that. But no. So I'm taking a full year. So probably by end of October next year, because I started shooting the project the day before my birthday this year on the 26th. So I'd like to be done. That'd be cool if I could like end on my birthday or something. I don't know. But, that's stupid. I should probably finish it before that. But yeah, so I have a full year to shoot it, and then it'll be a full year of them designing, put it together, and then we'll have like about 8 to 9 months of pre-sales, so they can kind of gauge like how many people are going to buy the book, how many to print. But they will be seen in like REI, Barnes and Noble, Amazon.
Awesome.
All that stuff. And then my big plan after the book's release is to do book tour, but like not me come and talk for an hour, because it'll be like this where I'm just like, bitch, fuck this, no one wants to hear that.
I don't think Barnes and Noble wants that.
Yeah. I think I just don't think many people want that. So my idea is to kind of maybe have 4 or 5 of my subjects come speak at wherever I'm at, so then people can hear like 4 or 5 just like unique stories that all kind of parallel and how they feel about being outside and what it's meant to their lives and whatnot. So that's kind of the bigger idea in the community building aspect of it.
I love that. That's way more exciting than just a book tour. Someone because so what's your process? Yeah. Get that question every time.
I'm laughing so hard because I've literally been asked. I'm like, process for what? Like be specific. It's like it reminds me of like, let's collab. It's like, what do you do? What? I don't understand what you want me to collab with. Like,
so the project is on, the impact that outdoors has had on folks' lives. What impact has the outdoors and like through hiking, etc., had on your life?
Oh, God damn it. I knew you were going to ask this. I mean, it's like a lot, obviously, but I would say the first thing I can think of is my childhood. Like I said, I hated going to school. I was a smart kid, but I did bad in school because I never wanted to go to school. So by getting bad grades, I thought I'd get more attention from my parents to like something was going on. So and that's a whole other thing. That's another podcast. But but for me, the outdoors is just like every time I'm outside, I just feel nostalgic for those moments when I felt peace as a kid. Like when my dad would take us out to the Trinity Alps and we'd go fishing, or we go on a little backpacking trip, or we go hiking to Deadfall Lakes and just go sit at the lake, and he would drink a couple beers, and and it would just be me and my dad and my brother. So he said, "Yo, you can curse, and that's why I have a sailor mouth," like. um, and so like the outdoors is nostalgic for, and I think that's why I'm so wrapped up in people's stories in the outdoors, because like for me it's
Mm.
like I think of being outside, and I think of being around people that loved me um, when I didn't feel loved in any other space in my life. So being outside is associated with safety, and safety in
Mhm.
people that cared about me. So that was transformative. Um, and I think that's like when I went and through hiked, it just kind of I mean, through hike and like being outside for that long for five, it took me 5.5 months to do the PCT. And I mean, it becomes your home, it's
Mhm.
like, and it always has been my home, but like that was the first indication that I was like, oh my gosh, like there was the first time in my, because I've spent all my life outdoors, but actually like immersing myself camping, being outside for 5.5 months was the first time I was like, wow, I really like being outside, which is so stupid that I had to through hike to figure that out. But like realizing how much it actually meant to me, and also realizing how much the outdoors is a place I go to connect with others. Like I love
Yeah.
camping with my friends, but I also love going. I go on camping trips by myself all the time too. It's a place to connect, and that's that's how it's been transformative for me. Is just that realization of like what it meant to me as a kid, and how that has just been a running theme throughout my life, and I didn't realize it until I through hiked.
The family aspect of the outdoors, that kind of really resounds with me as well, because like that was what my family did: car camping
Mm,
all summer, like all through my childhood. And my parents still go, and now my kids are just now getting to the age where it'll be easier for us to go camp with them, so I'm really excited to start doing that. Hopefully next summer, we'll see. My wife's not an outdoorsy person at all, so it's just like she's like, okay, you guys can go. So
yeah,
I'm very excited to do
yeah,
that
that is exciting. What about
and
you,
make
Kyle?
make those memories.
With your family?
It was something I did with my father, being in Boy Scouts, going out and doing that sort of thing. I don't know. It's just something that I always liked. I always enjoyed. There were always new places to see and visit, and they were always unique in their own way.
Yes.
So, like, we used to go down to southwestern Missouri, Branson area, and we went down there on this last trip, and seeing it again for the first time in several years. It was very nostalgic, but it was also new again. And then in college, especially within the caving community, it was the first time that I really felt that I had a community. Friends that all they wanted to do was go caving, and that's all I wanted to do.
Hmm.
And it was like, so hey, we're gonna go caving. We're gonna go out and we're gonna do this stuff. There's a lot of stuff that's coming out on Nat Geo, um, chronicling people's lives and how they do different things, or that they've done in the outdoor. Extreme sports. But it turns out that average Joes can do the same thing, and that
Hmm.
that was really cool to me.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love that.
So you mentioned it earlier in the podcast, but I think it'd be interesting to hear about your experience as an LGBTQ person on your through hikes. Like, because through hikes are generally very, like as you said, generally very white, mostly straight people, a lot of guys, and not a whole lot of diversity. And yeah, how did it go? Like, what was your experience with that?
Yeah.
Because
Wait,
it's
I'm not
not
gay.
it's not the
Just
stereotypical
kidding.
experience.
I couldn't hold that one. I was trying to. I was like, wait. I was trying to scare you for a second. My experience is so different because when I hiked, I did hiker trash bogue, and that like exploded, and like tons of through hike, like a lot of through hikers know what that is. Like
Mhm.
people, I mean, I could be out on a trail and people will still recognize me, even if I'm on like a short backpacking trip. Like people will recognize me or like know my work.
Yeah.
Not everyone, but like I'm surprised it's even lasted that long, especially with like how social media works. Sorry, I totally lost my train of thought
No,
here.
you're good.
Oh, yeah. So LGBT on the trail. So my experience is different because people knew what that project was and people still like can reference it. So I think when I hiked, there was like there was like this privilege that existed because people knew who I was, and I don't know. I think it's also like a personality thing. Like I just show up and I'm like this is how I am. Like in life all the time. Unfortunately, I can't help it. And so I think just my experience can be vastly different, because like also like a trans person hiking, especially if they're like what they call, I think, I don't know I can't remember the correct term, but like passing is like a term used, like if you transition and you look like that gender that you transition to.
Yeah.
I think that's a term. I hope not, so we don't get any flack for that. It'll just throw it back on me. But being that could be a whole different experience, as a queer person. But also like it could be, someone like another person that started maybe a week or two after me that was with a whole different group of people. That's who knows what those people are like. So it's for me, it's like I've been out since I was 16 years old. I'm 35 now. Like it's just like something I don't really think about that much. Yes, like times have changed. Obviously, there's a lot of, hopefully people have voted because there's a lot of anti-LGBTQ shit trying to be passed, which that stuff gets to me because that's a reminder that, yeah, we've come a long way, but there's a lot of people that like think I'm like second-class citizen and tons of other queer people are. So yeah, that's a hard question because like for me, like my hike was great. It was wonderful. I met tons of people. But I also wonder, was it because I did Hiker Josh Vogue, or was it because I'm just like this loud person that people don't want to like be mean to, or was it because people were actually really nice on the trail? I think maybe it's a mix of all of those things. Who knows? But I think I know I have some friends who are queer that I never hiked with, but that have done other hikes that have had vastly different experiences than I had. So I try to word that in so when people listen to this, they know this is just my experience. I'm an individual,
Yeah, and as you said, there's so many different variables. It's the group of people you're around, and who knows what random locals you might run into on your way. Some might be more open and understanding than others. So it's it definitely varies person to person. That's a good point to make. And like we've talked about this previously, but anytime I'm out, I try to like come in with a good attitude to anybody that's out there, because I think that's really important. The outdoor, like we've mentioned it, I don't know how many times. The outdoors for everybody. So just be nice, be open. We're all out there. We're all out there trying to enjoy the same thing. We don't need people that are like gatekeeping. It's like, oh no, this is for me. It's not for everybody. Yeah, that's the worst. It drives me insane.
So, Tommy, what do you think, in your opinion, could be done to increase diversity and inclusion in the outdoors to overcome some of these barriers?
Easy. Change what the companies look like. I work with a ton of outdoor companies, and they're all white. They're usually owned by an older white man or a white man, straight white man, and their whole team is white. And there's like no diversity, and like you'll rarely see a disabled person working for an outdoor company. Rarely see a plus size person. Like it's really like, honestly, that is how we need to change the outdoor industry. Is these companies need to be hiring diversity, not just like, oh, we need models, so we'll get a black person, we'll get a disabled person, and we'll cover all our check marks so we look like we're inclusive. It's like that's not true inclusivity. Like you need to be hiring these people, because only then do they understand what the experience is like for a marginalized person. And then what are they going to do? They're going to, it's just going to be a snowball effect. So that's the thing I think we need to do, is these companies need to be hiring a diverse marketing, social media, logistics, designers, whatever. It needs to be diverse.
And not just like token diversity, like the token person they can point at, like, oh, we have this one
Yeah,
person on our board. Because yeah, like, I mean,
yeah,
just for most companies are generally owned by a white man. Their boards are mostly white people, white guys.
yeah,
And now there's slowly becoming more women on those boards, but most of those women are also white.
yeah,
So,
exactly.
and that could just be from people that started working for that company 20 years ago. It was mostly white men at that point, and we're
Mhm.
slowly getting there. But I think, as you said, we need to be actively pushing for hiring a more diverse, especially in the outdoors. If we want to make the outdoors more diverse, that's a
Yeah,
great point.
yeah. I mean, all the companies I work with who are, they're trying to do well. They're trying to do good. And some of these companies are smaller, so I know these people like get those jobs and keep them.
Yeah.
But honestly, I can't even tell you if I've like talked to many people of color in these when I have
Really.
meetings with them. Like really,
Mm.
yeah, it's wild. That one that's an easy question. Just
Nice.
simple.
Okay, yeah. I hadn't thought about the ones making the decisions within the companies, providing direction, focus.
Yeah,
It's a really good point.
Yeah, because I can remember probably in the last 2 years, like outdoor marketing, they have like tried to be more inclusive on the marketing side to show different types of people, but
yeah,
the people that are in the board meetings, they're still the same people generally.
yeah, yeah. I mean, it's just, I mean, it comes back to literally everything. The people making our decisions, like not just the outdoors,
Mhm.
but literally everything should be diverse.
Yep. Kyle, do you have any idea where you want to go? Like, I had stuff written down, like, oh, we could talk about Hiker Trash Vogue, but that's years ago. It's really
Yeah,
cool
Yeah,
stuff.
there is one thing that I want to touch on. I'm not really sure how to work it in. It's a very sensitive topic. Um, Coming out of COVID, people turn to the outdoors to cope
mhm,
with depression and suicidal thoughts. And you had mentioned that you struggled with those as a kid, and into early adulthood. What would be your recommendation for folks in that situation?
if we're talking about advice or whatever, I'd say just ask for love. Don't ask like not just help, but ask for love, and the people that love you will really love you.
Mm.
I mean, I mean, like, it's not a sensitive topic for me. Like, like, I'm an open book. If you want to talk about it.
Yeah. If we can help two people at minimum, like, why not?
Yeah, I mean, like, I struggle with that a lot as a kid. Like I said, that's how why a lot of my work is so. I don't want to say. I mean, maybe some people my work is heavy because it is unfiltered. Like my work is very much me. It's unfiltered. It's
It's
honest.
truth, man.
It's raw.
Yeah.
And yeah, exactly. I just like I'm like who wants to fucking skirt through life just like beating around the bush? I don't want to fucking do that. Like I don't have time for that. Like I already went through that. And so for me, like uh, like suicide, it like I said, from the time I was 9 years old until probably like senior year of high school, I had one attempt when I was a kid. Um, so the intention was that I did not want to live, and I really just like had thought about that a lot. Just like, oh, like this would be easier if I wasn't around. And then I had another spout in actually kind of recently, 2019. But the difference was is like I know I don't want to kill myself. I know I want to live. Like this is a year after the PCT, and I was living back in Portland with my old roommates who are great. But it was just kind of like, ugh, like I'd finished Hiker Trash Vogue. I finished the book. I'm like, what do I do now? But it wasn't even like I don't even like know what it was. Like I look back at that point in my life, I was like, I don't even know why I was that depressed. Like nothing in my life was wrong. But the difference was is I asked for help. So I um, I called my mom one day, and this is the scariest thing I've ever done. Was calling my mom and saying, and my mom, I mean, my parents are aware of what I went through as a kid and like how I felt, but as an adult, like I don't tell my parents about my life all the time. I mean, like I haven't lived at home since I was like, like 18, and But I called my mom and I said, Mom, I'm really fucking sad and I don't know what to do. Like like I want to fucking die. Like I feel like every day I just want to die, and it'd just be easier if I wasn't here. Like for me, for everyone, I just feel like I do not, like I just don't want to exist. Like I was at the lowest, like lower than when I was a kid too, which is crazy. Like I still can't even peg what it was. But I called her and I said, she's like, I was like, I need you and Dad to just like love me. Like I just need, like I don't feel loved. I just like need you to feel. I just need to feel loved, and I don't know what that looks like. She's like, move home. I'm like, bitch, I'm 31. I'm not moving home. And she's like, Tommy, you're asking us to love you and to help you. We will come up to Portland and grab you if we have to, but you're move home just for as long as you want. We'll cook, we'll hang out, we'll do whatever you want to do. We'll even go on a fucking hike with you if you want, you know. And so I packed up my stuff, and luckily my roommates were my really good friends. So I was like, hey, I'm gonna leave in like a week, and I had disclosed. I was like, I just need to like go home. And so I went home, spent 4 months with my parents, and it was amazing. And we did all the things they said. We just cooked. We're big cooking family. Like we drank wine. We had like heart to hearts, and it literally was just asking to be loved is like the most simple thing a human can do. It's so simple, but it's like honestly the most vulnerable thing anyone can do. Be like telling someone like, hey, I need you to love me right now. Like that sounds like it's asking a lot, but for people who love you, it's not asking a lot.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And I still like, and I'm not saying I'm an expert on like suicidality or like depression or whatever, because actually, if you look at the timeline of my life, probably like 90% of that has been really fucking happy and awesome. Like I'm usually this person right now. But that I would say, don't just ask for help, but ask for love from the people who you love, because most times they probably love you a fuck ton back. And I think that changed. I mean, that moment changed my life. And like my parents are the best. I've always thought that, but like that was a moment that I was like, oh shit, you can abandon me now and I'd still fucking love you because like you did that for me, you know, like but this is a hard one because I feel like, I don't know, for people who are like really going through depression, like because at that time I was like, I didn't want to go outside. I don't want to go camping by myself. I don't want to go do that shit. Like, you know, I was like terrified, you know. I was like, I'm terrified that I like don't want to live anymore. So like I didn't want to be alone. So what did I do? I was like, hey, need to be distracted. I need to hang out with my roommates. I need to go out with friends. Or if I go camping, I want to go camping with friends, which was good. But like it was that I was terrified to be alone. And so I don't want to give like too much advice on this, but like I think finding a community is really important. And you know, whether you're extroverted or introverted, I think finding or even just like a good friend that you like to spend time outdoors with, or like someone that likes to do the same exact things you like to do, and someone that you can have like comfortable silences with, someone that you can like go talk all night around a campfire with, you know, like whatever. I think it's finding that capacity of how you like to be outside, who you like to do it with. But I think community is really important when it comes to the outdoors. You know, I think because we come from nature, that's why we connect so well in nature. But everyone's different. Like I said, I'm just an individual, so I don't want people to like think like, okay, I'm gonna go do that because Tommy said it. I'm like, oh fuck, I fucked up, you know.
Yeah, like as you said, community is really important, and I think your new project, whether you want it to or not, is going to create another community or multiple communities. You never know, around just each of these individual stories that you're bringing to the public eye, and I think it's just amazing. I use the word amazing way too much. I need to get a thesaurus, but
it's okay. I use amazing a lot too, but it's like more. I'm just like I don't have time to like go look up new words, and it's just it's all encompassing, you know.
Yeah, no.
And sometimes things are so great that we can't find the words to express them verbally. So amazing's easy, you know.
Yep, I completely agree.
I think that's why cliches are cliches, because we just don't have we
Yeah.
don't
I
we don't
mean,
have the words.
and they fit well enough most of the times. So.
Yeah.
And it's okay not to always have the words.
Exactly.
There's
That's why I'm a
been
photographer.
yeah,
It's
there's
easy.
been many times when I've been out and I can't articulate, why I've done something or why it's so meaningful to me or whatever. But
Mhm.
does it really matter? No,
Yeah.
because
Doesn't take away from the experience at all.
yeah, because
Yeah.
that is a positive experience for me. So,
Yeah, well, I think sometimes, especially in the outdoor, like sometimes a feeling is so strong that it's like, how do I even verbalize this to someone?
yeah,
It's just like, and that's how I feel about the outdoors. Like everything, like even tonight when they got done slacklining or highlining, and I was just sitting there watching the sunset tonight over the city. They were packing up and like just watching all the colors of the sky change. I was just sitting there. I was like, man, I was like, I created this for myself. Like I wouldn't be here. Like I did this for myself, and that's all I can like really how I can verbalize it. But I just like was this like really intense feeling. Is like I am sitting here right now because I had to create this for myself, and like I'm not someone that thought I would even live till I was 35.
Mhm.
Like it's tonight. Like you caught me on a really good night for a podcast for sure. Like you're really catching me in like a very like pivotal time of my life. So good for you guys.
Well, I think, unless Kyle has any other questions, I think I'm going to go into my questions I ask everybody.
go for it.
So, the first one is, what is your biggest outdoor mistake? So this could be on your through hike. It could just be just any dumb mistakes. Like my ones, I've done dumb things. I've almost died a couple times,
Mm.
but it could be anything. And just to kind of show that we're all human. We all make mistakes, and some of them are funny. Some of them are scary.
Oh, I've got it. I've got it.
Go for it.
On the PCT, I hooked up with another hiker who ended up to be a weirdo, and I hiked 20 miles into the night to ditch him.
Oof.
Got to the next town in like 3 days. It was a 100-mile section, so I hiked really fast. I'm not a fast hiker, and he skipped that section, so he was there, and it was very awkward. That was a mistake.
He's
I
just
should
sitting
not
there,
have.
sitting on a picnic table. It's like, hey, Twerk.
I should not have hooked up with that hiker. That it was a mistake.
All right. And the other one is, I like this is like another nice big open-ended question, I should say. What is the question we should be asking you that we haven't?
That is a hard question. Honestly, I'm gonna be really honest with you guys. Like your questions were really thoughtful.
Well, thank you. I try.
Uh,
But
I've done a lot of podcasts, and sometimes the questions are just like they're very bland, and I don't like the reason you got me to like give so much information is because I think your questions were really thoughtful.
thank you.
So I honestly don't think I have an answer for that.
I think that means we did an okay job, Kyle.
You did a great. No, you. This is really like comfortable and lovely. And I'm glad we were able to laugh through some of the serious stuff too, because that's how I am. So.
Well, no. I mean, things are serious for a reason, but like you got to try to find the silver lining in everything, to find the happiness, find the good things when things aren't
Yeah.
so great. I mean, that's the way I handle things in my life, and I think it may not work for everybody, but that's how I do it. But okay, well, let's bring it on home. Tommy, you want to plug some stuff?
Sure. Like what?
You're out there. Yeah, anything you want to plug? Just whatever, man.
I would say, yeah. If you just go to my Instagram profile, which is all humans outside, spelled exactly how you spell it, and there's a GoFundMe link if you want to donate to the project. That'll help me just like photograph all these people for the next year, help pay them, which is a big deal to me, is be able to pay everyone. But also, so you can just go and hear cool stories. I started posting yesterday, and I'll be posting for the next like year and a half. Some like tidbits, and I'm doing little real interviews of each person. And so go to my page more just to like hear cool stories about really amazing people within the outdoor community.
Yeah. As an aside, so I was looking at your Instagram before I reached out, and I love how you have the picture of your subjects for this, and then you used a color of like either their jacket or their shirt or something and circled it. I don't That just stuck out in my head. I absolutely love that. And like I have like I'll call it science brain that never would have occurred to me to do anything like that. And it's just very beautiful.
I'm happy you appreciate that because I was like, how am I going to post these pictures? Am I just going to do a square? Am I going to do whatever? And I want it to pop. So like that was very intentional. I'm happy you noticed that.
Yeah, I really liked it.
Thank you. I'm glad you did.
But also you can visit Tommy's website, www.tommycorey.com, I believe.
Oh yeah, you can do that too. If you
And I'll have all of this and the GoFundMe in the show notes. So everybody, very clickable link, go straight there.
Should I plug my OnlyFans as well?
Yeah, I mean, hey, you plug whatever you want.
I'm joking. I don't have one. I just trying to keep everyone on their toes.
Well, all right. So we've had some 5-star reviews out there, but if anybody feels the need to help us out, 5-star reviews are the way to go. So put a 5-star review out there and I'll read it. You can just write pretty much anything and I'll read it on the podcast. So my Instagram is at Trevor Bowman. Kyle still doesn't have an Instagram or really any social media presence. So if you see people that look like they're named Kyle, just wave at them, especially if they're in Boise. So
maybe I'll start wearing a name tag around.
Yeah. Hi, my name is Kyle.
That's where you live, is in Boise?
Yes.
Oh, nice. I lived there for a little stint. I like Boise.
What else? If you want to reach out to the podcast or if you know any cool people we should interview, you can email us at adventuringformeremortals@gmail.com. You can follow us on Instagram at meremortalpod, and you can message us on there with cool people to interview or comments. We have a Discord. It's pretty quiet over there, but if that's your thing, you can join that. The link is in the show notes. But yeah, Corey, thanks so much for coming on. It's been a great conversation. And yeah, see everybody next month.
Bye.
Thanks, guys.